Alright, crackers, what up? It's NEACE. So, I'm a little depressed right now because I choked. I choked incredibly hard. You guys don't understand. You can see here that I have 5 games that I'd played. Each one of these, I had recorded a lightning fast commentary for. And as you can see, in each one of these videos, except for one, we had won the game. So, I have played a total of 10 of these since I started making lightning fast commentaries again. And I basically, well, long story short is, I recorded 5 videos, and then I apparently, in my infinite intelligence, I somehow managed to mute both my microphone and my in-game audio. So I failed in 2 spectacular ways for 5 videos. Now, I thought about, well, what are you going to do with this? Are you just going to scrap those all together? And I decided that I lost one that I thought was really interesting, and then I won the last one, the 10th game out of the 10 provisional games or whatever when you rank up an account for the first time. I won a 4v5, so I figured, and you guys let me know what you think in the comments, I figured that I could go over these 2 games. Today, I'm going to do the first loss that I had on the account, and I'm going to try to explain everything that was going on through my head. I know this won't be like an in-person lightning fast commentary, but since I did just do these like a day or so ago, I definitely have a pretty good understanding of what happened and what went wrong and what I was thinking. So, I'm going to try this. Big apologies that I didn't get all the videos recorded correctly. Don't hate me, or you can hate me, just comment it. And yeah, so I'm gonna boot this up. Basically, what had happened here was we had a tragic game where, despite stomping our lane, the game actually wound out dragging to almost 40 minutes, and we lost. And I have a pretty good idea of the one major mistake that I made that caused the loss, and I'm gonna be covering that. Now, I'm not gonna make you guys sit through 38 minutes or whatever it is of a replay in order to get to the part of where I lost. So I am gonna skim a little bit, and I'm gonna explain the general ideas of what I did this game and why I did them, and hopefully you can, incorporate some of these tactics and strategies into your game. And also, I might as well review myself and my own gameplay and see if I'm doing something that in hindsight looks really stupid. The first things first, might as well go over the runes right quick. We have fleet footwork and the standard resolve tree. You probably can't see it because my big fat head is blocking it, so I'll slide it over or whatever so you can see right there. You can see that I have fleet and I have the resolve tree, so you can see that. We're facing a Talon mid. Now, Talon, any assassins with the Tryndamere mid strategy or any push heavy strategy. So people are like in the comments previously, hey NEACE, this Tryndamere mid's cool and all, but I don't want to play Tryndamere mid. What are some other, examples of champions that can do similar strategies? It's funny because a lot of people have flamed my strategy too, saying that it's not very good. In the past, they said that it was weak. Why would you go mid when you can go top with Tryndamere? This is so stupid. He's a split pusher, blah, blah, blah. I would encourage you to look at the results from the most recent Worlds event, where the most successful mid laner at the Worlds event, Doing B, played Rumble and Nautilus a lot of champions that do, and I think he played some Galio too, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of champions that do heavy push styles over trying to outplay somebody in the lane. And as a result, his team actually wound up winning the entire event. They won Worlds. Tryndamere mid actually does a lot of the same has a lot of the same ideas that Rumble and Nautilus and Galio all have, which is basically just establish priority at all costs. We want priority, we want to be able to move to objectives, blah, 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 you get the picture. Talon is a champion that has a lot of roams in his kit because of his E, and he's going to try to build Tiamat, he's going to try to push and go around the map and kill people if he can't kill you in lane. Tryndamere, Rumble, Galio, all those picks, Nautilus, all those picks do a wonderful job of keeping Talon right in the middle of the lane where you can't go and eat the opposing teammates or your team. You can't kill your team, just what it is. And because of that, Tryndamere actually winds up being a pretty good pick, because what winds up happening is Talon has a very hard time all-inning Tryndamere, except for maybe early levels, if he hits you with his rake. And you'll notice every time that Talon throws his rake out, I try very hard to avoid the pullback of the rake. And if I get hit by the full rake, you'll notice that I don't go anywhere near Talon if that happens, because I'm trying to avoid that burst damage. You can see here, I'm slow pushing the lane in, and what slow pushing means is I'm simply just not hard shoving the lane. I'm trying to build a big wave. Here, Xin Zhao's in the enemy jungle, makes a pretty good invade, harasses Talon, and we actually wind up zoning him off CS. That's a win. You're gonna see Talon gets absolutely squashed in this lane, but due to a lot of mistakes throughout it, we wind up losing. And here begins the problems. Mordekaiser solo kills Shen up top. This is really, really scary in solo queue. Any champion top lane, Darius, Garen, Mordekaiser, Alawi, these are champions that what I call, I would consider them stat check champions in top lane, okay? They're not champions that you really misplay when you get a lead. Jax is another great one, right? When you get a lead on these champions, what winds up happening is even a newbie can make a champion like this work. So, if you get a guy who's fed on Riven, whoopee fucking do. If he's not better than gold, if he's not better than platinum, then he's gonna wind up fucking it up somewhere down the line. But generally speaking, these champions with very immobile kits that just kind of stat check, when they get ahead, which is rare in low elo, when they get ahead, they're really hard to deal with for an entire team because people just don't know how to kite and they don't know how to position, and these champions basically just deathball walk and kill teams. Now, same with Amumu. It's the same concept. Amumu is such a low elo dominator because of the fact that even though his kit is very telegraphed, even though his clear is very slow, AoE wombo, and players just funneling right into those wombo combos is a big reason why Amumu sees a high win rate and is constantly nerfed. Like every time Riot buffs Amumu, they want to nerf him again right away. Just because they just don't like how well he performs in low elo. So Mordekaiser gets an early kill, very scary, and then Xin Zhao actually does a little invade and picks off the Amumu. This is all good. The open's really good. But I am worried about the Mordekaiser, and even in the commentary, which I so smartly lost, I remember just saying to myself, like, hey, regardless of how good we're doing, this Mordekaiser can be a problem. This is a freeze. This is a freeze. A lot of people don't understand how to freeze. Talon backs, my kit, Tryndamere kit, has a lot of sustain in it. So what do? Instead of just shoving the lane mindlessly, I hold it on my side of the lane. And all I do is just keep about 3 to 4 minions above what I have on my side. So you can see right here, siege, 1, 2, 3, siege, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 more range creeps, right? And all I'm doing is just trying to keep the wave positioned in a way that I can keep Talon interested in my lane. Right? And in doing so, what happens is he's more susceptible to ganks, and when ganks show up, he's more likely to get hit by them. And you're gonna see right here, he actually does get ganked, and it screws up his game quite a bit. I goes for the kill, we get the kill. This is about the best open that we could get. It's actually amazing that we wind up throwing this game. But it happens. You know why? Shen's dying. He gets a shutdown. But he's getting bullied around, and you're gonna see, even with that kill on the Mordekaiser, it's not gonna mean much as the game goes on. So I'm up 30 CS. 30 CS, another gank comes through, Jin's in my lane for some reason, bot lane's losing. And so you're thinking, wow, and I'm diving tier 2 and getting flash. You're probably thinking by this point, wow, how the F do you lose this game? And you're gonna start seeing how we lose it. First things first, right away, trying to get dragons. Xin Zhao's ignoring objectives and doing his own thing, not helping with dragons. You're gonna see that reoccurring theme throughout this video, where players get ahead and get cocky and they don't focus on things that actually win the game. Here, we get early plates, try to dive Amumu. This is one mistake. This is very significant. Diving this Amumu and being wrong really is costly. You may think to yourself, oh, you're so fed, you can go for this, and if you die, it's no big deal. It's always a big deal. Because I've said this in coachings before, when you're in an ELO, let's say you're in gold, you're in plat, you're in diamond, whatever, all the players that are in their respective ELOs have things they do well and have things they are very bad at. Okay, so you may think to yourself, NEACE, you know, if you get 2 kills and a huge CS lead, that is such a ridiculous lead, that right off the get-go, that your team is going to take care of that lead, and if you make a mistake here or there, it's not going to be that big a deal. The problem is, once you're getting leads, the map is going to open up. So basically, as the map opens up, the metaphor here would be like, or the analogy would be like, it would be like giving more rope to your team to hang themselves. So as more towers fall, the map spaces out, right? So this tower would fall, this tower would fall. And as the map opens up, your teammates are more likely to push in and get caught. That's why players have, on average, someone that plays League of Legends casually in whatever elo they're in, you always see people that have that 50% win rate at a respective elo. Because whatever they're doing, I've seen people in gold crush a lane, like absolutely stomp a lane to the point I'm like, wow, that guy must be smurfing. And then I check and look him up on op.gg and he's got like a 50% win rate, and I'm like, so he's lucky right now? And then you see like 10 minutes later, towers fall, he overpushes, overstays, throw a shutdown away. I kind of do the same thing here by trying to dive this Amumu. Now, in this case, in my defense, I don't think it's that terrible of an idea to dive the Amumu, but the issue is diving the Amumu is bad because he has Seeker's Arm Guard, right? So he actually has more armor than I realized. He has a couple kills, and I also just didn't really have a reliable way to kill him. And there's no need to do this dive, because if I do this dive and I'm wrong, if I just leave, I've drawn plenty of pressure. But watch what happens when I die to him. I die to him, I give him a lot of gold, I give him XP, and he's gonna shove the lane. No, he doesn't shove the lane. He actually, I guess he can't shove the lane there. Now, you're gonna see in this replay that this team, these three, suck a lot. But when you're reviewing your own replays and deciding whether or not you can blame anybody else, you need to realize that you're just dealt cards, okay? So the cool thing about League, though, is the cards that you are dealt, the game isn't always necessarily unplayable. So, for example, if I get a literal inting teammate and there was no match history that indicated that he was going to be inting, he didn't have like 8 loss streak in a row or something in his op.gg. If you have an inting, like an actual inting teammate, or people that DC and go AFK, then yeah. If it's just not playable 4v5 or whatever, it's not playable, and that's just what it is. Like, if the players aren't good enough to play a 4v5, that's just what it is. But in many cases, even if you get shitty teammates, as long as you're picking the right champions, in my case, I like to pick Tryndamere. If you're picking the right champions, you can always try to find little points of min-max where it's like, oh, I made a mistake. Here, it's very clear that I don't need to dive this Amumu at all. I have 3 plates. All I have to do is just draw the pressure and survive. I don't think I had backed yet was the other issue. I think I just assumed, like, we're so far ahead. We're so far ahead here that diving is fine. I also had Berserker Greaves, which I thought was fine. And he had his Q back up on a pretty low cooldown. We got pumped because of it. These are things that you can't afford to do as a player. You can't afford to throw these types of leads away. And it really, really, really hurts in terms of what you're really doing is you're dragging the game out. Every time you throw a shutdown away, you're dragging the game out. Even though in your mind you might think, oh, if I dive this guy, that's really cool, I can get plates. Well, in that instance there, all I really need to do is just take the plates, reset, and then push again, at which point with the new items on the map, it'll be really easy to squash the Amumu, right? Also, you need to, again, remember that your teammates don't give a shit about controlling their lead or protecting a game or whatever. So it's got to be you. You're the one, you know, if you're the guy that's looking to climb, you have to do that yourself. Can't rely on others. So here, this is all standard stuff. Harass Talon under tower. Follow Talon around. Let's fog a war. I'm following Talon and I'm pinging the whole way. Let's skip ahead. Harassing Talon under tower. I get his ignite. Heal back up. Pressure tower again. I also believe this Talon was actually smurfing. I just think that we owned him in lane and he found ways to get gold later. And you're going to see that later. Amumu holding wave again. I'm trying to skip ahead into the next mistake. bunch of teammates or Xin Zhao dies, enemy team starts dragon. I don't rotate to dragon because I figure it's probably better to take the tower, because collapsing on the dragon seems pretty thin by myself and me and Kai'Sa only, right? So instead, I take tower, I start backing, and decide to go bottom. Just like I teach in the coachings, anytime that you're a mid or a top and you crush your lane, try to swap it up with your bot lane if you can, and then that way you can start pressuring the side lanes with your lead. So like we have a huge lead here. We're level 11. Mordekaiser's are still humongous. For whatever reason, he just got a bunch of kills and a bunch of XP. So we have to deal with him. Here is a really good flank opportunity. You can see we decide that we're going to flank mid. The reason why, Talon holds mid. What the hell is this bug? Okay, there we go. Talon decides he's going to hold bot from mid. Team fights. Instead of just standing around, if you don't feel comfortable diving, instead, just do a ghost flank. Lot better of a play. You can get more money that way. And you see here, we fight Mordekaiser, and we get out. A very good flank, and then guess what we do? We go right back to farming, getting Rift. Trying to do everything we can to put this game away as quickly as possible, but safely as possible. And when I look through this replay, I don't see anything that I did that terribly, other than that Amumu dive. Until later, which we'll get to in a moment, the play that I think loses the game. Here, Talon gets caught. Mordekaiser ults. We survive the ult. We get the dragon. Get Scuttle. It actually still fascinates me to this day that we somehow lost this game. I have never seen such a ridiculous lead thrown on a low elo game. I still don't even really understand from a baseline level how this was lost. So here, my team dies in mid. This is the classic monsters under the bed. Like, this is what happens when you split. Like, people say, I don't split, and you say, why? Well, it's because my team dies. Look at this situation for a second, and watch how hard my team's actually trolling in this situation. So, they're running out of Mordekaiser in a straight line, who's level 13, and is pretty strong. So, the Xin Zhao decides he's going to challenge the Mordekaiser to a 1v1 for some reason. And then dies as a result. Both players die, but look where they're dying. This is the start of something really bad, right? The Xin Zhao throws a massive lead away and goes to the bottom of the map where nothing can get done. At this point, I'm actually allowed, if they had done anything else, we're allowed to get Baron or something, right, from here. But because of that play, they give away a lot of gold, and now Talon starts getting kills in mid. I clean it up, try to set up Baron, and this is probably where I'll stop this replay, because in my opinion, this is where the game is lost. So from here on, we've been pretty dominant. Everything is going our way. We're 9-1-1. Now again, I made one big mistake that I saw in this replay, I think. Just one that I noticed. Like a massive, like, wow. Trying to dive that Amumu, even if it works, it doesn't really accomplish anything. But other than that, if you're playing Tryndamere mid, and you're ahead of everybody in level, and you have 222 farm, and you have these items, you're sitting pretty damn pretty, for lack of a better expression, right? So at this point, if you lose, there's got to be something that you did wrong normally, right? There's got to be some element of your game that's weak. I think, and I commented this on the replay at the time, that I made a misplay in not zoning the Amumu off. So here's the scenario. You think to yourself, well, we're so far ahead, all we have to do is focus on the Baron. It's not a terrible idea, but when you assess certain situations, you need to realize how is the only way you lose the game. And you need to nip that right away. Like, what loses you the game? And in this case here, my entire team is super healthy and they're focusing Baron, like they're supposed to be. I can see Mordekaiser in mid. I have vision of Mordekaiser. There's only two issues that can arise. There's a Talon and an Amumu. If somehow Talon gets into this pit, I'm not entirely convinced, and this is the type of stuff you should be thinking about in your game. If Talon jumps into this pit, does he really wipe your entire team off the face of the earth? Maybe if he's turbo fed. In this case, he's not. So I'm focusing Baron here. I see the Talon, and I decide I'm going to focus the Baron and protect my team. And even though we kill the Talon, I still stay on the Baron. When in reality, what I should have done at this point is go on what I call a hunt, right? Since we're Tryndamere and we're allowed to jump over the wall. Now, it doesn't matter if it's Tryndamere. It could be any champion. Thresh, like my support players out there. Thresh, you can do this play as well. I want you to notice how the support is DPSing Baron. Guys, do you think our support has the same amount of damage as like Xin Zhao and Tryndamere and even Kai'Sa? Maybe with 4 kills, but I highly doubt it. So the Senna, I don't know if I said Syndra or Senna. The Senna should be on this wall. The Shen should be on this wall. People should be on this wall trying to get this Amumu out of here. And me, since I am such a threat, I could actually just walk Amumu off of that Baron. And since I don't do that, in my mind, I autopilot a little bit and I say to myself, Xin Zhao's level 13. This will probably be fine. That momentary lapse of judgment allows Amumu to come in, gets the lucky steal, right? This steal saves the game. It doesn't win the game, and it certainly shouldn't win them the game because our lead is so big, right? But the problem is, after this point, the enemy team starts slowly picking off my teammates, and by the end of the game, we get absolutely deathballed. And despite all my best efforts, despite even getting a Baron later, I think we get a Baron later, or no, they get a second one later. Maybe it's stolen again. I don't know. But whatever happened, if this Baron was not taken, the game is 100% over, in my opinion. And when I look through this replay again, I view this as, this is my fault here. I would give to you my odds of losing in this position if Amumu steals this Baron. With how fed I am, with how experienced I am in late game, my odds of losing probably go from 2 to 3% chance of losing to about 10 to 15% chance, right? So what I did here was I allowed a chance to grow. If I had just zoned the Amumu off and just stopped him from stealing it altogether by myself, there is absolutely no way, in my opinion. I mean, it's a very thin chance. Like someone DCs, someone fucks up, like real bad. Like, very thin chance that we lose with that Baron. Because we're going to push all the waves in, we're going to get more towers, we're going to get more objectives. But because we lose this Baron, the map expands again for the enemy team. They get time to breathe, they get time to scale. Amumu and Mordekaiser and Talon come online a little bit more. The Mordekaiser's actually doing great for low elo. And then before you know it, I believe not even 10 minutes later, it was like night and day. Talon has like 1 million kills, has killed my team all game, and we just get deathballed. I'm gonna skip ahead and then shut the video down so you can see what I'm talking about. Despite my best efforts, you can see like split pushing and trying to survive and keep the game afloat. My AD carry is now 2-7. My Shen is 2-12. I'm trying to kill Mordekaiser pretty much by myself and survive, but it's near impossible. And this whole time that I'm doing that, this Talon is picking off my team, even though I gave them a huge, even though I shut this guy down hard, because we didn't get that Baron. That's all the time, you know, now all of a sudden the late game weakness of these players shows. So you didn't put the game away, now you're getting into coin flip territory. And this is why on all the coachings that I do in my streams, I always stop. When someone makes a huge error, I always stop and be like, okay, this is what we need to focus on, because this is what loses your agency in the game, okay? This was a decision that you made or didn't make that causes your agency to slip away. So not zoning the Amumu buys so much time for your enemy team that yes, even though enemy teams should lose, they don't lose because they get that little lucky moment of like, aha, and then all it takes is that, and all of a sudden your teammates just start folding in on each other, which they would not have done if you'd won that Baron. Okay? I know this was long-winded, but to be fair, the entire commentary was about 38 minutes plus. Obviously, I just wanted to go back to the loss and explain how we lost so you could see it. When I look through this replay, it's quite clear what I did wrong. There might be some mechanical mistakes after we lose the Baron that I make, but in reality, my decision was very cut and dry, right? Like both deaths that I made weren't because of mechanical errors. They were decision-making errors in terms of judgment, like what I should have been doing as opposed to what I did. And that's a really key part in like figuring out, is this what costed us this game? All right, and I think I found it by not zoning that Amumu off. Guys, I hope this video works. I'm so depressed that I lost those 5 commentaries. On the next video, I'm going to show you the last game of my 10-game series. That was a 4v5 and that we won, so something a lot less tragic. And I did win a 4v5 after having such a tragic loss. I was very depressed after that loss because it was just so miraculous to me that they actually pulled off a win there. But it happens, and double shameful. Not only did I lose, but I was pretty positive throughout the whole thing, and I didn't even say the damn commentary. So you can flame me in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this. If this review was helpful at all, please tell me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it gave you guys some insight into my thought process since we lost the original LFC. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Practice.